Rise and shine, Rwanda.
Good morning. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Ivan Magwene.
And me, Peace Kwizera. Coming up on Rise and Shine.
In our story of the day, Rwanda joins the rest of the world to mark World Hepatitis Day.
And in business today, our Tech Corner segment, we look at a simple guide to help you purchase a laptop.
For lifestyle today, we bring you a book to read. Well, all that and more still to come, but first we get to meet the rest of the team. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Ivan.
How is everything there?
It's all good. It's all right.
Okay. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Ivan.
Good. I need some more energy on here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Not just to jump on stage.
I think we should jump.
We'll do that.
All right. I can't wait to have that more of energy. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Let's get started. We bring you the latest stories making headlines here in Rwanda and across the world. Now, starting off with the local stories, a total of 8,500 students are expected to graduate from the University of Rwanda on Friday at Amahoro National Stadium in Kigali. Now, there will be one combined graduation for the entire university, which is made up of 6 colleges. Previously, there were 5 graduation ceremonies held for the 6 colleges at various venues. But this means something, especially for the fact that now we have very new, fresh graduates that are coming on the market. 8,500 young people, very energetic and ready to get their jobs and get started. What would you say about this same graduation? It's a very jolly moment for the families, very jolly moment even for those that have finished their journey of education. But most important, we're looking at the aftermath of this one. Peace.
Well, I'm excited that the numbers keep increasing from small to bigger over years of graduation, of the number of people that we get that are graduates.
Go to higher institutions.
Yes, go to higher institutions. And also, I'm excited that, of course, they're finishing, but I'm also worried a little bit that they might not maybe be well enough to start their own businesses or even get jobs. So I'm just hoping that, they get the best out here. But of course, I'm excited about what's happening.
Yes, I would love to ask you this question because I'm always anxious to know. When you get such kind of high numbers graduating and coming to a market where, of course, where jobs have not graduated to become new jobs, or we don't have new jobs coming in, what happens in that case? Does that mean we actually have at least now 8,500 jobs waiting for people, or we have at least 600 jobs in the country right now waiting for people?
Well, I think we have 8,500 brains innovating. So these are people who are supposed to bring up new ideas. They shouldn't wait for white-collar jobs. They can bring something up, and of course the government is ready to help. Anyone is ready to help if you have a good idea. All they need is the idea and the will to do it.
Would you agree with my sister over there?
Maybe about the idea of having initiatives, creating businesses, but the best thing is to start with something, because they have most have parents, and you find not all parents have these jobs like going to office. I mean, there are people who do businesses, who are traders. So, and I mean, you start from something that this little thing you have. If it's a shop, you go manage a shop, because well, we would like maybe when a lot of people are educated, then you find people doing these simple jobs like going to a shop, going to selling airtime and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have graduates doing that. But since the Rwanda National University of Rwanda is a top university, well, these are qualified guys.
Absolutely.
And it's over 8,500 new hands to Rwanda's economic development and even just development at large. So it's something to be excited about.
And I would love to extend our sincere, congrats to the people out there, and congratulations for indeed finishing all this journey, which is never easy to finish.
School is never over. There is more to learn, I would say.
Absolutely.
Now, French religious leaders have called for more security at places of worship following the murder of an elderly priest in Normandy on Tuesday. Representatives of Christian, Muslim, Jewish and Buddhist faith spoke after meeting the President Hollande. Father Jacques Hamel was killed while conducting morning mass in his church. One of the 2 men who attacked him was wearing an electronic surveillance tag, which was temporarily turned off under his probation conditions. Now, This is, of course, one of the saddest stories that are, making trending all over. And of course, this is France. It's Europe, but also it's France. Let me start this off with Ivan. What came to your mind when you saw a headline like this in the news?
First of all, most people are asking what's going on with the world. 12 days after the attack in Nice, during the Bastille Day, we have another attack in France.
Yes.
According to the words, I would quote François Hollande, who said that France is at war. And indeed, to be honest, France is at war with terrorism, because at least this is, France has already started suffering the consequences of that, because now even airline companies have, some of them have issued an alert, or a travel alert, because of that. I mean, when it comes to such kind of a state, and where people, actually, France is suffering an economic, back down because of these same issues. And, Paris is a very touristic, and France is a very beautiful country to visit. And for some reason, because of this, the numbers have started reducing. I mean, France is at war, just like François Hollande said, and there needs to be, I would say, tighten up security. But I think it's just more beyond that. I think it's with the intelligence, it's with the military, it's also learning how to, have the awareness and giving up to the society, because these are hard times for France, and indeed they're at war.
Yes. Now, Stephen, over, 84 people have died 12 days after, 12 days after, then we see a priest dying. So I would just want to ask you, what does this mean at a time like this for France, or what would your own opinion be like?
I think there's a growing Islamophobia, because there are such cases like this are coming in.
Yes.
This particular individual, he had tried to go to Syria, he had tried to travel, but he was always sent back. So he was already, they knew that he was on the ISIS list.
Yes, and they tagged him, right?
Sure, he was tagged.
He was tagged.
Somehow he made it to this church, and then he was able to kill a priest. But it's also, like Ivan said, brought some attention on the security in France. I mean, people say that France needs to do more to protect itself from such acts. In intelligence, there's also having soldiers walking around the streets. And
I think they have already done that already, but I think it's with intelligence, because it's quite funny that some of these attackers are already on the list, or some of them have been screened for some reasons, but you find that they have been handled with a soft hand, which in the end, some of these guys that we see blowing up the cities.
And it's really hard. They cannot arrest them unless they have evidence
of everything.
Another particular point is the issue of immigration in France. I mean, immigrants.
In Europe in general, it's really hard.
France is a bit unique,
because
we have these areas where many immigrants live, and you find they live in poor conditions. So that's a breeding ground for many of these people to get, join ISIS and be recruited. So maybe that is also the welfare of people as a whole.
Yes, of course, we continue to pray for France and, of course, the world at large, and we pray for the priest's soul to rest in peace.
Yes. Now moving on to the other story. It's in Malawi. An HIV-positive Malawian man who says he's paid to have sex with children as part of initiation rites has been arrested on the president's order. Eric Aniva, a sex worker known in Malawi as a Hina, was the subject of a BBC feature last week. He told the BBC that he did not mention his HIV status to those who hire him. Now, President Peter Mutharika said the police should investigate and charge him over the cases of defilement he had seemingly confessed to. I think for some of you, have been able, it's been a very circulating small video. I think you've been able to watch this man who calls himself a Hina. So basically, he's like this guy who, they have it as tradition in one village in Malawi that before girls, during their teenage years, before they become women, they have to sleep with him.
Yes.
So so that they can become women. And unfortunately, he confessed on camera that he's HIV positive and he's been sleeping with all these girls. And he is so proud of it, because that's his job, that's what he has been doing, and he's HIV positive, sleeping with these girls. And when you look at this story, I'm sorry to use this word, it's a very disgusting story to look at, and looking at him talk about all these things. But here he's arrested. What would you say, especially to a country like Malawi?
The Hina is a profession over there. I mean, he's one of many.
Yeah.
So they are out there who went, who are not in this documentary.
Yeah.
But it brings in light the rituals that are practiced in
Different parts of Africa.
Yeah, I mean, there's this female genital
Mutilation.
and then you find he is hired. People in villages, they come to him and say, come and,
Yeah.
do this. So I think he's arrested, but that's not enough. They need to, the Malawian government needs to go and talk to these the elders too.
Yes, but it's quite a very disturbing situation, Peace. Looking at the fact that we are in the 21st centuries, sometimes, to be honest, are there organizations in these countries? Is there a government? Is there the civil society? What is the problem? What's going on?
I would say this is one of those cases where it's tradition versus, century, I would say 21st century, Some of these countries still stand by their traditions. We've seen, especially in Africa, we're the kind of people who stick to our roots and we don't let anyone change that. Now, I do not entirely agree with this. Like, I actually think this is a very disturbing story.
Very.
But of course, it's one of those cases where it's tradition and people keep going on. But also, I believe that since he's been taken into jail, maybe, of course, justice will be served.
Yeah.
But also...
Think about also the girls, man.
But,
thinking of the girls, I believe they should just stop. I feel like
There's
if I was
some
in that
barbaric
position,
acts that
there
should
is
be
just-
stopped,
yes,
despite the
like,
culture and
especially
everything.
that.
I think there needs to be a study of certain African cultures, and then there needs to be like a campaign against certain
And
culture.
of course, the respective governments have to be responsible
Absolutely.
for that.
Yes,
I
for
do
sure.
agree with you with that one. Yep.
Now, taking this on to the DR Congo, of course, musician Kofi Olomide has been, of course, thrown into custody in the Democratic Republic of Congo days after he was deported from Kenya for allegedly kicking one of his dancers at an airport in Nairobi. A judge is considering whether to charge the star over the incident, which was filmed and went viral. Olomide has denied assault, though he has since apologized for his behavior. Finally, I would say.
Of course, after doing something wrong, you have to apologize, but it has to be punished for.
Yes,
You just,
he
it
had
can't
to
just
serve.
go unpunished.
I'm just loving this whole, it has been a consistent kind of, I was waiting for this moment. I'm sorry, I am maybe a terrible person for this, but he needs to learn how to treat women with respect. That's just
Everyone
that's
with respect.
In fact, this is a lesson for everybody to learn from, especially these gentlemen
it's
out
funny.
there. But Stephen, let's hear
It's
your
funny-
comment.
It's funny that the minister the Congolese official who brought him up, who raised the topic that he should be taken in, had some past grudge.
Yes.
So, it had to take such a person for Kofi Olomide to be arrested. But yeah, it's a win for justice against, maybe there's something we haven't talked about, but Kofi Olomide is not the only artist to abuse his dancers.
Yes.
It's something known in the music industry. So let's hope it will be a precedence for other
Yes, for the other
dancers
artists.
to get
yes.
justice. For
But I
such
also
treatment.
think this is the time that, people, that saying of 40 days for maybe a bad person who doesn't, there's just 40
think
days
it's
counted
karma.
for. It's just karma. I believe he has gotten away with so many things over the years. And it's high time that he serves justice. Ivan, would you have anything to add?
Looks like social media has been doing a very good job. Looking at the campaign, the hashtag arrest Kofi Olomide, everyone was doing that via Twitter, and finally the man is in custody. So you never know. These are the impacts. But indeed, what he did was absolutely non-gentle, and he needs to face that. Now, moving on to the international stories. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton has set out the case why his wife and best friend, I quote, Hillary, should lead the nation. He told the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia that she was the best damn change maker I have ever known. In a very emotional speech, and a very personal speech, I would say, he talked about from the days of when they had to meet at Yale Law School and, their young life. Here's Bill Clinton. We've been waiting for this gentleman to step on that stage and argue why the wife should be president. But it was a long night, as most people were watching the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. What would you say as history is made, because
Yes.
prior to that, before that, actually Hillary Clinton made history as the first ever presidential woman to ever, represent their party in the elections. Any point that is very now hot burning over there?
Well, the speeches were really personal and emotional, and I wonder how it feels for a former president to have a first lady being the president again.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully it will be the
the
first
family
gentleman.
is blessed. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this is maybe a lesson to all the young girls in America, especially that, we've seen presidents in Africa, we've seen presidents in South America, but never before has a president ever been, or even a nominee for any major U.S. party, being a woman. So I think it's that really great lessons for all the girls in America to dream big and maybe hopefully one day achieve that.
And she actually mentioned something very powerful. She was like, to the girl that is staying up late to watch this, yes, today it is me, it's official, like, she was trying to, yes, it can be you very soon. It's going to be you next time. So, she has broken the boundaries, and indeed, that was a very good evening for the Democrats, because unity was there even from the time Bernie Sanders came on stage to say we've nominated, with a very emotional speech. I think that was a nice to remember. We'll be back shortly with the story of the day. Welcome back to Rise and Shine, Rwanda story of the day with me, Ivan Magwene. We are the Kigali car-free zone, to where Rwandans came out to mark the World Hepatitis Day. Now, Rwanda is joining the world to mark the World Hepatitis Day with a particular emphasis on the viral hepatitis infections. Now, that's why lots of crowds came out today, because there will be free screening and vaccination for this same disease. It is a very gradual disease, and it's a very growing disease here in Rwanda and across the world, killing very many, as according to different statistics yearly. And here is a recap of what we had for you as we went across talking to different people. Take a look. In Rwanda, viral hepatitis is considered as a serious public health concern. However, the prevalence of hepatitis B and C infections are not well known, and the mortality related to this infection is poorly characterized. Current estimates compiled from a variety of different studies provided a hepatitis B prevalence range varying between 1.9% and 7%, while hepatitis C seropositivity is varying between 0.8% and 5.7%. The Ministry of Health has shown commitment to scaling up screening and treatment of the two diseases, and the national guidelines for hepatitis B and C viruses prevention and treatment were updated in June 2015 to include recommendations for treatment of hepatitis C virus with direct active antivirals and implementation of hepatitis B virus both dose vaccine. Additionally, a policy document was created that will help to address existing challenges related to the prevention and the control of hepatitis B and C.
Dr. Makoza Jean Damascene, nkaba ndi umuyobozi w'agateganyo ushinzwe kurwanya indwara zandurira mu mibonano mpuzabitsina n'indwara ziterwa na virusi ya hepatite mu kigo cy'igihugu cy'ubuzima. Umunsi w'itariki ya 28 z'ukwezi kwa karindwi buri mwaka twizihiza umunsi wo kurwanya indwara ziterwa na hepatite. Akaba ari mu rwego uyu munsi twafashe gahunda n'ubwo ari umunsi wa mbere itariki ya 27 n'umunsi wa mbere utangira umunsi wa 28 ni umunsi wa mbere twizihiza hano mu Rwanda twatangiye kwizihiza ubwo buryo bwo kurwanya indwara ya hepatite. Mu Rwanda indwara ya hepatite irahari kimwe no ku isi hose, kuko abantu benshi bicwa na hepatite, bamwe bakaba bayicwa nabo batabizi. Mu Rwanda mu bantu 100 dutekereza ko 4 ku 100, 4 muri bo baba bafite indwara ya hepatite B n'indwara ya hepatite C. Indwara ya hepatite B n'indwara ya hepatite C ni indwara zugarije, ni ukuvuga ngo ziterwa na virusi yo mu bwoko bwa B no mu bwoko bwa C, zikaba zifata umwijima. Umuntu akaba ashobora kuyimarana imyaka hagati y'imyaka 15 n'imyaka 20 ataramenya ko afite iyo ndwara, nyuma ikagaragara icyo gihe kirekire. Uyu munsi rero twatangiye gahunda ni imwe muri gahunda zizamara icyumweru cyose, ariko uyu munsi tukaba tuza gupimira ku buntu, tukanakingira ubuntu, tugatanga n'inama mu buryo bwo kwirinda izo ndwara ziterwa na ziterwa na hepatite B na hepatite C.
Activities planned during the hepatitis campaign include, among others, the launch of viral hepatitis program, national viral hepatitis sensitization campaign focusing on spreading of sensitization messages through different media, vaccination and screening activities. Ivan Magwene, Rise and Shine Rwanda.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with Rwanda and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine. It's now time for your business stories with me, Chantal Uera. Regional governments have urged to give more support to women in business to enhance entrepreneurship and ensure equitable and sustainable development. Mary Mudhoni, the chairperson of Women in Business Committee at Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, said women entrepreneurs have limited access to affordable credit and lack skills required to provide innovative products or services. Kenya plans fresh talks to win East African Community support for trade deal in Europe. Kenya plans a new round of talks next month in a last-ditch attempt to convince the other members of the East African Community to sign an agreement for local goods to continue enjoying duty-free access to the European market. South Sudan has asked Ugandan traders to go back and resume their business operations, saying the situation is under control. Mr. John Luke Joke, the Minister of Transport, said calm has been restored in the country and that the situation is improving very fast. And today in our Tech Corner segment, we take a look at a simple guide to purchase laptops. Kay Singanji has the details.
Up in today's episode, we're going to be looking at a guide and some quick tips on how to purchase a laptop for the very first time. Well, it might be even upgrading your laptop that you usually had. Now, to kick it off, let's start by talking about these gadgets. Laptops can be a bit complicated to buy. Now, it's not every day that you'll go and buy a laptop easily and get the perfect one, especially when you have a lot of options to choose from. Let's say let's say the brands like MacBook Pro, HP, Lenovo, all those other things to mention, even Dell. But yeah, which one would you choose among all those things? It's going to be a hard time for you. Now, step number one, or guide number one, which is a very most important tip that you need to make sure you know, is decide what you're going to use this laptop for. Now, you might be going to use this laptop as a traveler, you might be someone who watches movies, you might be a gamer, or let's say you're even a student, or you're someone who does office work. You need to make sure you know what you really want this laptop for and why are you buying it, what are you going to use it for. Now, step number two, going to our next move straight up, is you need to know the key specs or the main elements of a computer that someone needs to have. So let's say you're going to buy a computer. The first four main key specs that you should look at are the processor, the RAM, the hard drive, and the screen resolution. Now, looking into this, we start with, let's say, the processor. What's the processor? Well, word has it, or it is said, that the processor is like the brain of the computer. So for your computer to function, you usually need this processor. Now, the processor will determine how your computer works. Let's say you're looking, most of you have seen friends with laptops that can go, let's say, a bit slower than other normal laptops. That means you have a very bad processor if your laptop is going slow. And, well, one might also ask themselves, what's the best processor and which one would I find on the market if I'm to look for a processor? Now, the best processors so far are not the cheapest, but to mention, the best processor happens to be the Intel i5. Well, this is not a very easy processor, and if I were to recommend, I would recommend an i7. It happens to be hard and, well, not to mention, but it's a bit expensive, and the cheapest would be an i5, as I said. So to keep on with the key specs, our second thing is the RAM. Now, the RAM is almost the most important thing in buying a laptop. Now, what's the RAM? It's said to be the random access memory, or other words, the memory that helps your apps run on the computer. Now, how do these apps get to run? Usually the RAM, most computers, the best RAM can be about 8 gigabytes, and the smallest would be about 4 gigabytes, if I'm not confused. So if you have a good RAM, your computer will probably have its applications running quicker and quicker, and the faster, the better, as you know. So the next move is the hard drive. Now you need to look at your hard drive if you're looking for a computer. Now, what does the hard drive do? This is where everyone keeps their stuff. This is where you keep your movies, your documents. In other words, the memory of a computer. Hard drives can go up to 500 gigabytes. So usually the better the laptop, the higher the hard drive capacity. Now, to go on to our last thing, it's the screen resolution. Now, what's the screen resolution? This happens to be the appearance of your screen. Now, as you can see, let's take a look. For example, the laptops in front of me here, we have an HP and a MacBook here. Now, if you look at the Apple thing here, the screen happens to be a bit smaller compared to the HP. Now, the screen resolutions happens to be the way the screen appears now to the user. So if you're a good user, I'm sure you usually need a better screen. Everyone deserves the best. So to go to our next move, we need to identify what your budget is. Now, this is very important. The budget is something that makes sure that you're not out of your lane. If you're going to have options to choose from, first of all, state a good budget that you know works for you. Now, what will this budget help you? Let's say you have a budget of limited money. That will help you not to waste your time going for these expensive laptops, and you'll stay in your lane and get the thing that perfect suits you. The next move to do is you need to look at the video graphics. Now, this is not important, especially though if you're a gamer or someone who does video editing. The graphics are something you need to look at, and it's very important for you. Now, to sum up what I've just told you, in general, let's say in general, these are the key things you need to prioritize on while buying your laptop. You need to make sure you buy a laptop with a big RAM, a laptop with a fast processor, and make sure you have enough hard drive space if you're going to keep a lot of things on your hard drive.
And that's all we had for you today in business. Stephen Kalimba will be up next with sports.
Welcome back. Time now for your sports news with me, Stephen Kalimba. Eric Gaju has been selected to officiate at this year's Paralympic Games to be held from September 9th to 18th in Rio de Janeiro by the International Paralympic Committee. Gaju is among the 18 referees that will handle both the men's and women's competitions. The referees were selected by the World Para Volley Referee Commission and approved by the IPC. It is the first time a Rwandan is officiating at the Games. Gaju has officiated at the Sitting Volleyball World Cup in the USA in 2010 and 2014 in Poland. And in the Premier League, new Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has told his players they will not be allowed to train with the team if they are carrying extra pound. The former Bayern Munich manager banned juice, pizza and some other heavy food and added players should be working on conditioning instead. Manchester City faced Borussia Dortmund in the International Champions Cup in Shenzhen, China on Thursday. And in international tennis, Swiss tennis great Roger Federer will miss the Olympics and the rest of the season with a knee injury. The world champion posted on his Facebook, and I quote, "The doctors advise that if I want to play on the ATP World Tour injury-free for another few years, as I intend to do, I must give both my knee and body the full time to recover." The 17 Grand Slam singles title winner won doubles gold at Beijing in 2008, but has never won an Olympic singles title and lost to Britain's Andy Murray at the final in London 2012. And there you had it. Peace Quizera is up next with Lifestyle.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with Rwanda and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. It's time for Lifestyle with me, Peace Quizera. Today is Thursday's book review, and we look at a powerful, tender story of identity by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, the award-winning author of Half of the Yellow Sun. Ifemelu and Obinze are young and in love when they depart military ruled Nigeria for the West. Beautiful, assured Ifemelu heads for America, where despite her academic success, she is forced to grapple with what it means to be black for the first time. Quite thoughtful, Obinze had hoped to join her, but with post-9/11 America close to him, he instead plunges into a dangerous, undocumented life in London. 15 years later, they reunite and in a newly democratic Nigeria and reignite their passion for each other and, of course, their homeland. Now, this is quite a book, for some of... I just want to start with, the panel. Who has read it? Maybe who has heard about it? I'll start with Stephen.
Well, I've had a few talks maybe speeches by Chimamanda. And in this book, Americana, I think she continues on her talk about race, what it's like to be an African in USA. I mean, here we are all, the majority of people are black and everything. So it's commonplace being black. But when you go to the USA, when you go to Europe, well, the cultures are different and, they have the different history, and this book picks on that.
Yes, picks on that.
Yeah.
Chantal, do you have
Yes,
anything
Chimamanda
to say?
is a very great writer, and her speeches are wonderful.
Of course, especially with Half of the Yellow Sun being one of her specialties. We've
Yes,
seen the movie and we've
yeah.
seen the cover song, which was Bother You by the band. It was
yeah.
very interesting, the storyline of Half of the Yellow Sun, but that's not what we're talking about today. Ivan, I would want you to elaborate a little bit about the book. I know you have a little bit of insight on the book, so just enlighten us.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say much because the reason why we want people to, go for the book is because we want them to read
Just
the
give
book.
them a small bit.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
then-
this comes at the right time. First of all, we have a lot of people. Okay, I would love to relate it to the kind of period we're in. We have a lot of people now going abroad for school. They need to first also read this kind of book. It helps you. We have a lot of people that are moving and discovering different cultures and everything. This is a book for you to read. If you're that person who has been in different societies, I think this is a very interesting book because you never know how it feels like to go in America and you're not actually called African, but you're called African American because nobody there is African. They're all African American. I think Chimamanda is one of the biggest African writers right now of our generation. Apart from the Chinua Achebes and all the others, I think she's one of a very strong feminist too. And for people to understand her, I think I've come to understand her genre of books because if you look at even Half the Yellow Sun, at least there is that kind of, that person who went outside for school and then they came back with a different accent.
Yes.
If you watch the movie and
very
then they're interested in a guy and then it's always around that circle, but this time I think she goes deeper into showing you the areas around race and that love story and how all the confusion comes in and how hard it is sometimes, and she tackled race in a very different angle, but this time I think also from an African perspective, which I think could relate to anyone trying to go to many of us who are trying to go abroad to study or have
and
a
even
job.
coming back to a different kind of country, because this happens with the diaspora people who leave, especially, and they go out and then they come back and then there is something different.
Kigali is a good example. You
Kigali
come back
is a
and
really
everything
good
has
example,
changed.
yes.
Yeah,
You don't know
and
which
also
way.
let's not forget that people come when they have also changed in terms of their culture because so this is a book to read. I mean, this is a very good book to read because she notices all those kind of loops.
When there's this talk about, there's a topic of a theme of love too, and that's
Yes,
good
it's of course from race to the fact that it's an African book that we can also just look at.
We can all relate to it.
We can all relate to
because
it.
it's so realistic.
Yes.
You leaving and coming back
And
to
coming
new
back.
everything.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
realistic.
the same old, what's the word? Lover or soulmate.
Well, the same soulmate, Stephen would say. But of course, that is the book that we had for you to read today.
And please, they should always make sure you go out there and read and let us know what you think about the book.
On our different social media platforms. It's called Americana. It's by Chimamanda, of course, the Nigerian writer. And of course, we know that she's written a couple of other books, like Half of the Yellow Sun, and even the movie is there. So if you're not really interested in books, you can just go ahead and watch the movie. Maybe that will help you a lot. But of course, that is all we had for you for the show today. But don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what you're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on our Facebook page and do send us your ideas for the program. Check out our Rise and Shine YouTube page and please subscribe. That's so you can catch all the shows and the reports that we do. Find us on Instagram and remember, we love to see your pics. Last but not least, check out our website where you can see every single thing that we have for you here at Rise and Shine. And also endeavor to follow us on Snapchat. I am Peace Quizera.
And I'm Ivan Magwene. We'll be at same time, same place tomorrow. Do join us then. But for now, it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.